Hey everyone, I'm coming to you from the Picketts Mill battlefield in Georgia. This battle was fought May 27th, 1864. It's actually an evening battle. It begins around 5:45 in the afternoon. The object was General O.O. Howard has his Army of the Tennessee under the main command of Major General William T. Sherman. Sherman has sent Howard this way in an effort to push the Confederates out of this area and continue his march toward Atlanta. Howard gets here. Instead of making an all-out attack, he's a little bit confused as to where he's at. He thinks he's on the right spot, but he's not sure. So he is going to send General Hazen out and probe the Confederates to see exactly where they're at. The problem with that is when Hazen comes through here, he's going to end up in this huge ravine that's down here. The other problem is he's going to run into Confederates on the ridge behind me under the command of General Patrick Cleburne. Now, Cleburne is known as the Stonewall of the West. He's a very good general. His troops, much like Jackson's troops in the East, are known as some of the very best in the Confederate Army, especially the Confederate Army here of Tennessee. And Cleburne is going to be reinforced by two antiquated 12-pound howitzers. Now, they're antiquated. They're built in 1841, and they're more of a Mexican War era gun. They're smooth bore. They don't shoot very far. They use about a pound of powder to fire. So they're not super effective during Civil War battles, as we have rifled muskets and rifled guns by this point. But they're effective here at Picketts Mill. Part of the reason is because they're firing down into this ravine. They're firing canister, which canister can be just a big shotgun shell. A lot of shrapnel coming out. They're splintering trees. A lot of things happening there. So as Cleburne has these howitzers up, and before I go any far, I should know, in the museum, one of the original howitzers that was here is in the museum right now. It was found in the basement of the Atlanta History Museum. They did some research, found out that was one of the guns that was here. So really cool, because that gun would have been sitting right on this ridge right behind us, and it's literally in the museum, almost in the exact spot where it would have been sitting before. So really neat to see that piece of history, see that piece of battlefield history. So anyway, as Hazen attacks, he's going to get decimated. He's going to be followed up by General Gibson's going to advance. His troops are going to split, and they're going to go toward a cornfield. Gibson, while he's fighting here, his other troops going toward a cornfield. Prior to the battle, Cleburne has the forethought to cut trails through the woods all the way to the cornfield that extends his right flank out to the cavalry brigade of Kelly that is kind of holding a ridge. So as he does this, he's not knowing if he's going to actually need to have these paths cut through the woods. It's very thick in these woods, so he's not really sure if he's going to need it, but he does it anyway. Turns out he needs it. That enables him to rush troops down to this cornfield and stop the Union attack, because had he not been able to do that, the Union Army simply comes around his right flank and is now in the rear of the Confederate Army. So great forethought by Cleburne on that. The attack here is repulsed. It's actually known as an embarrassment, so much so that General Sherman does not mention it in his official reports or in his memoirs. He basically ignores the entire battle. It didn't go the way he wanted, and he just says, never happened. So another issue that happens here is you have General Mclean, who does not advance. Now, Mclean is tasked with keeping contact with the rest of the Union Army, but also supporting Howard. There's a backstory there. One, he makes the excuse, well, I've got to keep in contact with the Army. But Mclean has a personal issue with Howard because at Chancellorsville, he gets blamed. One of the brigadier generals that gets blamed for taking the flank attack that Stonewall Jackson launched and not being entrenched in things. Howard lays blame on Mclean. So he doesn't really have much use for Howard to begin with. So his heart's really not into the battle. So later that night at about 10 o'clock, there's going to be a bayonet charge into the ravine. And that is going to basically end the Battle of Picketts Mill.